Hello everybody, my name is Allied Cam, and today I will be reviewing a game that I just can't seem to stop playing, World of Warships. Now, this is my first time playing one of Wargaming's titles. Their other products include World of Tanks and World of Warplanes. All three of these titles are World War II military simulators. The objective is simple: face a balanced enemy fleet, complete the objective, or destroy the enemy. Currently, ships from the USA, Japan, Germany, Russia, and Great Britain are represented. There are 4 classes of ship that you can choose to play from: cruiser, destroyer, aircraft carrier, and, my personal favorite, battleships. Each class of ships fulfills a different role, while that country's design scheme affects the strength and weaknesses of that ship against its counterparts from other navies. For instance, Japanese battleships tend to be significantly faster than American battleships, but aren't as heavily armored and have smaller guns. Alternatively, Japanese destroyers are more difficult to detect and have longer range torpedoes, while US destroyers have stronger guns, making them ideal for counter-destroyer missions. Conspicuously absent are U-boats and submarines, though implementing them in the current game seems extremely difficult to pull off. As a captain, you will have to know the strengths of each individual ship and play to them in order to be effective. The game itself is beautiful. Wargaming seems to have taken the time to accurately render details on their ship models. The ships reflect damage to their hulls and burn damage to their decks. Smoke comes out of the ship when the engines start moving, and it's full of all sorts of little details that just make the game come alive. The environment is great too, from the water foaming around the bow of the ship to the sunset reflecting off the ocean as the match nears its end. The Arctic map, for instance, makes me want to turn on the heater every time I play it. Just don't pay too much attention to the scaling of the villages on the islands, and you'll be fine. The music is also great, effectively increasing tension and setting the pace for each engagement. Sound effects are really good for making you feel like you're firing cannons that are sending shells the size of Volkswagens across 15 miles of ocean. And the torpedo alarms are the most terror-inducing sound this side of Sonic the Hedgehog drowning. Unlike typical military shooters I'm more familiar with, World of Warships requires a lot of planning. In addition to leading your shots properly, a science in and of itself, things like turret rotation, terrain, ammo type, and reload times have to be judged and adjusted on the fly. Aiming requires judging your speed against that of your enemy, firing arc, ammo type, target armor, citadel locations, and your exposure to return fire. This level of planning is even more involved when playing as battleships or carriers who have extremely long reload times, or else have to send their planes back to the ship in order to reload and rearm. In those instances, you must make every shot count 100% of the time in order to be effective or an asset to your team. But let me tell you, when you sink an enemy ship, it is such a satisfying feeling. You've outmaneuvered your enemy and sent him to a watery grave. This is the feeling that keeps me coming back over and over again. Great. Okay, right at the waterline. Right there. Ha ha ha!
We destroyed an enemy cruiser.
Very nice. Line up, line up, line up. 2 seconds away. Come on. Yeah! Wow, the secondaries really need to learn how to shoot. That's not to say there aren't problems with the gameplay. For one, map size. As you rank up in tiers, the range of your ships increase, so typically the maps get larger. Unfortunately, the boundaries for the map are massive invisible walls that the ships cannot go past. This leads to physical impracticalities like border humping that kills immersion and makes judging shots on a border humper extremely difficult. Personally, I'd prefer if they installed a battlefield-like border, which allows you to go past it, but you have to get back within the match area within a time limit. This would be less absurd and immersion-breaking. Then there's the length of the game. I understand that there needs to be a feasible time limit on some matches, but there are times where it feels like, especially for battleships, the timer runs out just as the match is getting interesting. Lastly, there's the game types. Almost every map is some variety of capture the flag. Capture multiple points, capture one neutral flag, capture your enemy's flag. Yawn. How about we mix it up? Team deathmatch? Protect the flagship? Give me some variety. Now it's time to discuss my least favorite part of World of Warships: progression. If gameplay and aesthetic keep me coming back for more, then this will, without a doubt, make me throw up my hands in frustration and walk away forever. World of Warships is currently a free-to-play model game. Free to download and install, but full of microtransactions. This means that while you theoretically can get through the game without paying a dime, in practice that requires a massive amount of patience. In order to progress, you need two things: research points and credits. You earn research points by using a ship, which then ties those research points to that ship. You can then use those points to research upgrades or the next ship in the tier. But then you have to buy those upgrades with credits, which you earn while playing with any ship in the game. This is a fairly straightforward method of progression, and for the first 5 tiers you progress at a fairly rapid rate. However, after tier 6, the cost of everything skyrockets. Individual ships will cost a fortune in both credits and research points, and you will stagnate at that tier for ages, and this brings us to the third currency type: doubloons. Doubloons are the currency you will buy with real money, and $1 will get you between 130 or 180 doubloons depending on the package that you purchase. In order to get that high exchange rate though, you have to spend a lot of money up front. Some of these packages can go up to $100. $100! For a free-to-play game! To give you some idea of just how much this streamlines progression, you need 300 doubloons to purchase a slot for an additional ship, or about $2. To retrain a captain and move him from one ship to the next quickly is about 500 doubloons, or $3 to $4. Want to take excess research points from one ship and give them another? No problem, that'll cost you though. Want to take upgrades you already purchased off of your ship? Guess what? You have to pay for that with real money too. Some of these upgrades are super expensive too, and to quote Luke Skywalker, we could buy our own ship for that. While these small $2 to $5 charges don't seem like they take a whole lot of money out of your wallet at one time, they add up quick. You are literally being nickeled and dimed to death to progress quickly in this game. Wargaming gives you an initial stockpile of doubloons to start the game with, but once you run out, you realize just how quickly your progression is stunted without having them. Then there's the premium ships. They're expensive, but they level your captains quickly and generate research points extremely rapidly. But those research points are useless unless you have the doubloons necessary to convert them to universal research points. I wouldn't call these premium ships pay to win though. They have very real strengths and weaknesses. Take my Atlanta for instance. It has a high rate of fire, high speed turret rotation, but it has extremely short range for its tier, thin armor, and small weapons. Getting to a high tier isn't necessary for having a good time, I think. It's at this point that I feel obligated to point out that I haven't gotten past tier 6 on any of my ships. I just don't have the time to dedicate to grinding it out. However, I absolutely have a blast playing at low tiers where close quarters and ramming happens a lot more frequently. It makes the game a lot faster and a lot more interesting. Don't get me wrong, I will always enjoy lobbing shells across 20 miles of open ocean to obliterate my enemy, or successfully landing torpedo strikes from my carrier's bombers, but something about fighting pirate style from the deck of my St. Louis will always be satisfying to me. To summarize, World of Warships is gorgeous. It looks and sounds great with exceptional attention to detail. Gameplay is robust, simple to pick up and learn, but requires a lot of skill and knowledge to master. Destroying your enemies will keep you coming back over and over. Progression is the part I enjoy least, especially if you're not willing to spend money on microtransactions. I'd rather have paid the upfront cost for the game and then had a more balanced progression system. Anyway, if you're into historical battles and enjoyable gameplay, then give this one a look. After all, despite my gripes, this game is still free to play, and I strongly recommend you give it a look. I hope you found this review enjoyable and informative. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. My name has been Allied Cam, and I will see you next time.